Firefighters take down a blaze in downtown Bakersfield. New details about the fatal attack by dogs near a local Costco. And the search continues for a young girl swept away by the Kern River. This is 17 News at noon. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Alex Fisher. We begin with a big win for the United States after our women's soccer team defeated Spain. The game was tied at 1 apiece until the 75th minute. The U.S. scored on a penalty kick to win the game. Team USA now advances to the quarterfinal where they will face off with France. That game is scheduled for Friday at noon, and you can watch the World Cup on our sister station, Telemundo. Firefighters quickly knocked down a house fire in East Bakersfield this morning. Many people in downtown Bakersfield could see thick black smoke billowing into the air. The fire was on East 18th Street. That's just east of Union Avenue. Bakersfield firefighters say they arrived to the home fully engulfed in flames. Crews say the home appeared to be abandoned. Nearly 24 firefighters were able to knock down those flames within about 10 minutes. No word on any injuries. New information about the death of a woman who was attacked by dogs near a Costco. The attack happened last week in the Costco parking lot on Rosedale Highway. Officers found the woman and say they think she was bitten by several dogs about half a block away on Standard Street in Bryan Way. When medical personnel arrived, they pronounced the woman dead. She was 36-year-old Crystal Lynn Perrigan. Police say animal control officers found and caught the 3 dogs involved. 2 dogs, a pit bull and a mixed large breed dog, were owned by a nearby business owner. Another pit bull they think was involved is believed to be a stray. A woman is dead after she was hit by a car in northwest Bakersfield this weekend. It all happened outside of Poorhouse around 1:45 Sunday morning. The coroner says that's where 40-year-old Tiffany Sanders was hit. She died less than 5 hours later at Kern Medical. A man is expected to be charged with driving under the influence in a crash that seriously hurt a man crossing the street. It happened around midnight on Saturday on East Pacheco Road near Greenfield Middle School. Bakersfield police say the man was crossing the street outside of a crosswalk when a man driving a car hit him. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital where he's in critical condition. The driver stayed at the scene and officers determined he was under the influence of alcohol. A woman who was also in that car was not hurt in the crash. And we've learned the name of the man killed in a car crash in downtown Bakersfield. BPD says the crash happened just before 9 a.m. yesterday. A black SUV was driving south on L Street, but in the northbound lane. The wrong-way driver crashed into a black pickup in that lane. The man driving the pickup was not hurt, but the driver of the SUV was unresponsive, and paramedics rushed that person to the hospital. The coroner says his name is Clayton Dean Shellhart. He was 31 years old. Officers believe the driver may have suffered a serious medical emergency that caused that crash. It was a violent weekend in Bakersfield. A series of shootings left several people dead and in the hospital. The latest happened just after 10:30 last night on Garber Way. That's just a few blocks off of South Union Avenue. The Kern County Sheriff's Office says deputies responded to a report of a shooting. When they arrived, they found a man who'd been shot several times sitting in a parked car. Deputies say people in another car, possibly a white pickup, fired at least 10 rounds at the man. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital, where he later died. A man is dead and another in critical condition after a shooting broke out near Garces Memorial High School. It happened just after midnight on Saturday. Bakersfield police say officers responded to a call of shots fired. When they got there, they found a man who'd been shot several times. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital, where he's labeled in critical condition. BPD then got calls about another man with similar wounds. He died shortly after being transported to Kern Medical. Police have not released his identity. Recovery efforts are set to resume this afternoon after fast-moving currents swept away an 11-year-old girl over the weekend. Search and rescue crews say a family had just begun a camping trip in this area of Keysville on Saturday. That's when the girl ran toward the river. Within minutes, the water swept her away. She was not wearing a life jacket. Crews now consider the search a recovery effort. They spent the weekend searching the river just downstream of where the girl was swept in.
So when it comes to kids in particular, close supervision of the children is absolutely necessary. And this is a tragic case that illustrates that.
That young girl is not the only person search and rescue crews are looking for. KCSO says the search is happening in the same area where a pair of cousins went missing last Sunday. The 15 and 19-year-olds were last seen going into the river near the Keysville South campgrounds. Crews are still working to recover their bodies. And while Kern County agencies handle those search efforts, we've learned the Tulare County Sheriff's Office is searching for the body of a missing man since Wednesday. Gerald Gonzalez was last seen in a pool toy inner tube at Calkins Flat. That's a campsite 14 miles north of Kernville. Rescue crews eventually found the inner tube further down the river, but not Gonzalez. He is now believed to be dead. The Tulare County Sheriff says the river is running so hard in the area, it's too dangerous for crews to search on boats. So they're relying on helicopters and deputies on foot. President Trump announced new sanctions on Iran today. Seated in the Oval Office, Mr. Trump signed an executive order targeting Iran's supreme leader and his associates. The president said the supreme leader of Iran is ultimately responsible for the hostile conduct of the regime, stressing the executive order will deny the supreme leader and his office key financial resources and support.
Today's action follows a series of aggressive behaviors by the Iranian regime in recent weeks, including shooting down of U.S. drones. You shot down the drone. I guess everyone saw that one, and many other things. They've done many other things aside from the individual drone. You saw the tankers, and we know of other things that were done also, which were not good and not appropriate.
President Trump also reemphasized that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. Meantime, President Trump is beginning his week by calling off deportation raids across the nation, leaving big questions about what happens next to those undocumented children and families at the border, and about whether lawmakers can do anything to fix it. Here's NBC's Kristen Welker.
This morning, President Trump's abrupt immigration about-face. After threatening mass deportations of undocumented migrants, Mr. Trump reversed course over the weekend, saying he would delay the raids that would have led to thousands of undocumented migrants being deported. The president now demanding Democrats negotiate a border deal within the next 2 weeks, or else see those deportations begin as planned. Something he discussed on Meet the Press before announcing the delay.
If the Democrats would change the asylum laws and the loopholes, which they refuse to do because they think it's good politics, everything would be solved immediately.
Two Department of Homeland Security officials telling NBC News the raids were called off because details had leaked to the media and because ICE did not have plans in place for detaining the 2,000 immigrants, mainly families. President Trump tweeting it was to give the Democrats every last chance to quickly negotiate, adding that it probably won't happen.
We are on track this year to have more than 1 million people come into our country illegally.
With the new 2-week deadline ticking, Democrats are pushing back. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi saying the raids would tear families apart and inject terror into our communities, adding time is needed for comprehensive immigration reform. All this amid troubling stories from the border about the unsafe and unsanitary conditions at U.S. facilities, including a lack of food and water. Overnight, advocates saying children are caught in the crosshairs.
These children are hungry, they are sick, they're being locked up.
With the hashtag Close the Camps trending nationwide, Chuck Todd pressed the president.
The conditions are terrible.
I agree. And it's been that way for a long time.
Do something.
And President Obama built the cages. Remember when they said that I built them and then it was 1914?
Do two wrongs make a right?
The question now, can the Trump administration get the deal it wants?
It's just essential that Congress step up.
Welcome back and taking a look at Wall Street on this Monday morning. The Dow Jones is up 25 points, NASDAQ down 3, and the S&P 500 is down 18. Meantime, checking oil prices, West Texas Intermediate is at $58 a barrel, and Midway Sunset is at $62.68 a barrel. Well, parents who buy a baby formula at Walmart will want to pay close attention. Perrigo Company is voluntarily recalling formula. The company says Parents' Choice Advantage infant formula milk-based powder with iron could potentially contain metal. More than 23,000 containers are affected by this recall. The formula is sold exclusively at Walmart. So far, no reports of any babies being hurt, but parents are urged to stop using the formula and return it to any Walmart for a refund. Millions of Americans are hitting the road this summer, and demand for gasoline is breaking records. The Energy Information Administration says demand for gas is at its highest since 1991. Typically, high demand means higher gas prices, but that's not what we're seeing now. Industry analysts say the average price of regular grade gas has dropped 11 cents over the past 2 weeks. Right now, AAA says the national average for a gallon of regular unleaded gas is $2.65. California's average is $3.73. Kern County's average a little up at $3.86. And according to GasBuddy.com, the lowest price of gas in the Bakersfield area is $3.35. You can find it at the On The Go food store on River Boulevard in Northeast Bakersfield or Varsity in Central Bakersfield. To look up gas prices in your neighborhood, you can head to our website, KGET.com. Just click on the traffic section. And lower crude oil prices are contributing to the drop at the pump. But oil prices ticked up last week amid tensions between the U.S. and Iran. Despite that, the overall price of gas is down 22 cents compared to this time last summer. Well, think about how much you rely on your mode of transportation every day. Whether it's a car, a bike, a bus, or the train, we rely on them to help us live normal lives. Well, for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, transportation can be very difficult. Former 17 News reporter Lori Lizarraga introduces us to a Colorado couple who saw that struggle and came up with a solution.
He's big.
Getting closer.
1 minute. He's the opposite of bad.
Hi, Mommy.
He's Peter Stars, and today he's mastering ride sharing.
I got Uber. My phone. Transportation has traditionally been the biggest obstacle that people with intellectual and developmental disabilities face when they try to access the community independently.
Driving isn't always an option for people like Peter, but he's still a teenager, and he has a lot of the same interests as other kids his age.
Beatbox.
Oh, beatbox?
Yeah.
Can you beatbox? He likes music.
Picked up me and all my friends.
Hangs out with his best friend Noah.
Play football.
Teenager stuff.
I tattooed them.
He just can't always get around. David Honeyman and his wife Stacy saw that and came up with a plan to fix it.
Having intellectual and developmental disabilities, I don't think necessarily makes them more vulnerable than the typical person if they have all the information.
With this, a hands-on rideshare education program.
Although many of our people may never be able to drive.
Hi.
This is kind of their transportation education class.
The Honeymans modeled the class after their daughter's driver's ed course. A few hours of class time, a few hours of practice.
Press done. Do confirm Uber.
A mentor to make sure they're doing it right.
I think what Dave and I are doing with this program is fantastic.
Equipping students and parents with a little education.
They are ready, and we just don't realize it.
That can open whole new worlds.
Thank you, right.
For kids like Peter. Good job, buddy. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back. It was a weekend to remember at Dodger Stadium after 3 big wins.
Fly ball center field, carrying pretty well. Hanson back, at the wall. Would you believe it? They've done it again.
That was Dodger rookie Will Smith ending yesterday's game with a walk-off home run. He came up from the minors just hours before making that play. This was a series a lot of people are talking about. The Dodgers swept the Rockies in a 3-game series this weekend, each game ending with a walk-off home run by a Dodger rookie. That has never been done in MLB history. Now, a walk-off happens when a run is scored by the home team at the bottom of the final inning to end the game with a win. The Dodgers are dominating the majors. They've won 54 games so far this season, the most in the majors by 4 games. In the NL West, the Dodgers dominate with a 13-game lead over Colorado. Meantime, at yesterday's game, a young girl was hit in the head by a hardline drive by Dodgers first baseman Cody Bellinger. It comes as 2 teams announced they plan to extend the protective safety nets to keep fans safe. Here's NBC's Steve Patterson.
Bellinger rifles it foul.
Another scary moment during a Major League Baseball game. A young girl sitting in the stands at Dodger Stadium struck in the head by a foul ball. The ball, hit by Dodgers first baseman Cody Bellinger, sailed into the stands just beyond the ballpark's protective netting.
I saw it literally hit her face, so it was tough. It was tough for everyone.
Bellinger later checking on her himself.
I went over next half inning just to make sure She said she was all right. She gave me a thumbs up. Obviously, it was a scary situation. They're close to the playing field.
The young woman, who has not been identified, remained in her seat for about 15 minutes, holding an ice pack to her head. She was later taken to the hospital as a precaution, according to the team.
You feel for that person. You just never want anything like that to happen.
A woman died last August after being struck in the head by a foul ball at Dodger Stadium. And just last month, a young girl was hit by a foul ball in Houston that left the hitter visibly shaken on the field.
This one hurts. Yeah, and it's frightening.
In 2015, Major League Baseball recommended teams extend their netting, dugout to dugout, and all 30 teams did so by 2018. Now, the Chicago White Sox are moving their netting all the way to the foul pole in the outfield. The Texas Rangers and Washington Nationals won't go that far, but will move their netting farther than required. So far, they are the first clubs to announce such plans. This latest incident giving the Dodgers a chance to take a harder look at jaw-dropping accidents happening to fans in the stands.
I think that definitely, talks like that need to intensify. And for me, as we talk about getting ahead of things, I don't see anything wrong with that idea.